Hey guys, just wanted to share my story or travelogue, of sorts, for fasting for 1 month. So I just broke my fast about 22 hours ago, and now I'm eating normal food, sort of. I'm eating healthier, normal food, which is still super gross. But I would just want to give my experience along the way, kind of how it goes. I've done long fast before, just not quite this long. So anyway, let's just start off with some interesting stuff. And I started off at 240, that was my weight, and now I am at 205. So about a 35-pound drop, but that does include food, weight loss, because you have no food in your stomach or intestines by the time you're done. That does include water weight loss because you don't have any sodium to hold on to the water. And yes, this is a fast from anything but filtered water. So I did that for a month. So the first day, it starts off, I'm used to fasting once a month, but going without water or food. But this fast I'm doing just water. And so that made the first day super easy. Just piece of cake. If you're hungry, drink water. The second day, pretty hungry by the end of the second day, as your body's just like, okay, water was fine, but not quite what we're wanting anymore. Third day just kind of stinks because you've used up the majority of your major glucose and glycogen from your liver, stuff that your body's normally powered from. And by day 4, you're pretty much in full ketosis. Very little glucose left to burn, but you're in the state of ketosis. You're burning fat instead of glucose for your fuel. So fat actually gets converted into things called ketones, and those ketone bodies that your body uses in place of glucose. Like super amazing thing. I mean that's really what fat is there for. I guess it keeps you warmer, and anyway, it's meant to have that energy, long-term energy. So yeah, you wouldn't think that, right? I haven't eaten, how do I have energy? But that's where it comes from. That's what fat's for. So you go through these periods of hunger, in the past, and that's fat. That's supposed to be the thing that sustains you. So we were made to do it. Not necessarily go for this long, but your body can do it if it needs to. Pretty cool survival technique, but also really good health benefits. I'll talk about that. So we get to like day 5, 6, and 7, and they're all right. Definitely enjoying water to help fill your stomach. And sometime around, at least for me, between like day 9 and day 11, I get this like just ease, I guess, with fasting. It's like the body's just kind of like, I guess this is the way of life, or this is what we're doing now. So you get into this nice steady, food's not like you want food, but it's not like such a temptation anymore. It's not this extra burden. And in fact, throughout this fasting, you have crazy laser focus. If you had brain fog, at least for me, brain fog completely goes away and has totally gone away. In fact, I used to get chronic headaches every afternoon or evening. And the last fast I did was just 3 weeks, took care of that. So I no longer have headaches. Blood pressure, of course, drops instantly. It's by the second day, I think your blood pressure is in great shape, even if it was a little high. Mine was a little high before. I like to mountain bike once in a while, but other than that, I just program websites, so I don't really get out too much. So anyway, so as far as energy goes, yeah, they're going to be lagging. Yeah, and there's some validity to that. I'm not gonna go run. I mean, I could, but that's not super good for your heart with a lower blood pressure because the volume's lower without that sodium, and just there's nothing to replenish it with, because while you have energy from fat, you don't have protein. So that's the thing that kills you. So in fact, the very first time I did a week-long fast, I worked out 3 or 4 times that week, and that was absolutely awful. I felt like trash by the end. And for the most part, mornings I felt okay, but I had no protein to restore it, so I learned that the hard way. But as far as energy, just to do normal life, if you have a sedentary job like I do, if you work a physical job, then you probably want to just do intermittent fasting for looking to lose weight. and if that's your only goal. Otherwise, you need to find some way to be either at complete rest or at least do a minimum like me, which is resting as much as I can by sitting and coding all day and sometimes all night. The rest of the fasting time honestly was fine. Like, second week was pretty easy, third week was easy, and then the fourth week I started trailing off a little bit as far as like energy went, which was expected. It's not because of fat, because I still have fat to burn. So, but it was just that consumption of proteins and some of the physical stuff that I did need to do that required that me to end my fast after a month. So you can go much longer, but you have to be at total rest, and you should be under medical supervision. And there's issues where you just shouldn't be fasting, like type 1 diabetes and I don't remember some other health ones. So anyway, something you have to talk to your physician about to see if fasting is safe for you or not. Lots of bad information out there. Lots of helpful information. Some of the things that seems to always help with or completely take care of are like type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure. Your body goes through a state of cleansing itself, so it goes through this cell consumption of bad cells. And so with that process, which usually kicks in about after 24 hours of fasting, and what I've heard is only fasting or drugs that mimic fasting can cause that effect to take place. But it happens, and it's believed to take care of things like dementia, to kill the bad amyloid proteins, to prune your rest of your body with just junk stuff that's in there and old cells that need to get rid of. In fact, there's been some documented cases of cancer being, I haven't seen anything hard for it being like fully removed, just soft science about that, but I have seen virtually gone or practically gone. I have seen that officially published. So that's kind of cool too. There's a lot of good benefits from it, but for me, it's just like the clarity of mind that I get from it, the focus. So that's the thing that's just crazy beneficial, is how focused you are, because yes, you have more time, so you can get more stuff done. It's not so you don't prepare food, you don't eat food, you don't clean up after food, and you don't get rid of the food, if you know what I mean. So you've got that time back, but the focus you get is I assume is just evolutionary result of fasting to give you the focus you need to go and get food. So you have that the entire time. In fact, I've gotten more done in each of my fasts than I could ever get done in, I don't know, twice the time. And there's things I simply just would have never have had the motivation to do except when I was fasting. And part of that is because you don't get endorphins from food because you're not eating food, so you do thrive on and really take interest in things that make you feel better, like getting stuff done. In fact, even playing games occasionally, like I normally do, and again, it was occasionally, but during fasting, for the most part, I was just kind of disinterested, just because it felt better to learn something or to get something done than it did to just relax. So it was those endorphins that I really lived on. That being said, the stress, in some ways, fasting's helpful because of the focus and because of how hard stress is you want to just take care of the problems and just get it done. But if you're working with other people, that can be tricky. So I'm the father of 4 young children. So my wife was a saint and took care of all of the kids and pretty much all the housework just so I could maintain as much rest as possible, since I was doing a long fast. And because of that, I didn't have to worry about the stress of the kids. Otherwise, it is pretty stressful. Like, I love my kids, but when I'm fasting, it definitely makes it harder. But I'm also a little more straightforward about things too, so maybe there's a little balance there. So yeah, you get the energy you need, and then one question that people always have is, well, you're gonna get fat afterward. Well, I've done fast before, and I know that's not the case. unless you keep up old habits. Like typically, I was eating between 3,000 and 4,000 calories a day. I have a really good metabolism, which kept me not gaining the weight for the most part when I ate that many calories. But if I went straight for the sugars, which triggers insulin, and insulin's one of its main jobs is to store fat. So yeah, I remember first 3 months at my current job eating a bunch of candy because I just had free candy everywhere, and I gained 20 pounds. So that was what led me into fasting the first long stretch, because I'm like, okay, I gotta knock this out. So I knocked that out, and then this fast was to trim off some more. And so I've got two more sessions I'm going to do of 2-week fasting, and then I should be to the weight that I want to be, and then I'll just maintain it. So let's talk about, like, really quick, just low calorie diets versus fasting. So, and we could talk about keto diets. I've done that too. Those are great, and I have issues with them for other reasons, but let's just talk about like low calorie diet. Now that is what I've tried repeatedly year after year and never been successful. And why? Because you give yourself, this much in calories, and so your metabolism needs to keep your body burning, running at a certain metabolic rate. If you're constantly giving that, then it's smart enough to lower your metabolism just to match the level of food that you're bringing in, right? Because it needs to equate what's coming in, energy, and what's going out. And so your metabolism drops with it. And that's why when you break a low calorie diet, you, over the next few months or maybe just weeks, you gain that weight back. And your and to maintain the weight, you actually have to eat the new metabolic rate, which is lower. And there's controversy about whether that will come back up or not. I believe it does, but apparently it takes a really long time if that's the case. So low calorie diets just are terrible. In fact, they increase the ghrelin hormone in your brain, which causes you to want to eat more. And so you're craving food really bad because you're getting extra hormones to eat because you're eating so little calories, and you gain the weight back. Like that's terrible. So fasting, they're like, well, that's starving yourself. No. Like low calorie is starving yourself. That's the effect we talked about. Now fasting is very different. So let's just talk about like thousands of years ago. You didn't have any food. Well, is your body just going to slow down, not give you any energy, so you can't go get food? No, it's going to give you energy. In fact, it does. In fact, your metabolism actually raises for the first 2 days. So you actually get a little boost of metabolism so that you can go find food. Now, after that, then it starts to trail off, but it more or less stays the same, but it does technically decline over the course of a month. Just trying to keep you at a good rate. So you're not coming down to this level, this low calorie things. You're still staying up high. And so when you resume eating, granted you got to work into it to build up good bacteria again and such, but then you can have a very close to the original metabolic rate. So that's also the reason why you lose so much fat, is because your metabolism is still quite high, and so you lose on average over the course of a month you lose a pound a day. Now in the beginning you'll lose a lot more weight, but it's not fat weight. Now, well, yes, it's fat weight, but it's also intestinal weight. No more food in your stomach, and water weight because you start to lose the sodium. So I've also heard people say, well, your muscle's going to atrophy. Well, muscle always atrophies and at a normal rate. In fact, at fasting, from what I understand, it atrophies at a very normal rate. So not more than it would normal. So your body's not trying to consume muscle for fuel when you're fasting. Fat is there for that reason. Fat's the thing that is meant to make you last for months if you have to survive. So at rest, right? So again, if you're physical, and then yes, it's gonna have to start pulling proteins, and then you can get yourself in trouble. So it's important. It's important to be resting, but otherwise, it's almost entirely fat. So don't have to worry about that part. And anyway, oh yes, one more thing. So I learned a hard way that after you fast for a long time, you lose all the good bacteria in your gut. And that was an unfortunate surprise after I broke my previous 3-week fast. So something I've learned from and did a good job today with. But you think, well, that sounds terrible. You lose all your good bacteria, and yes, that's a very important part of your immune system. But it's also resetting it. You can think of it that way. So you kind of start over, and then if you're eating properly leading into it, and I do some probiotics to help. But then you can build up a good bacteria and a good base naturally once again. But that being said, I got sick. So my youngest daughter had a super nasty cold. I mean, like not just the green, but like the yellow nose thing, and that lasted for like a week for her. And when I get colds, so typically, I mean, I don't get like sick, like I don't throw up except for once a decade or something. But as far as having a cold, yeah, I get at least 2 good colds a year, and they last 3 to 4 weeks. It drives me nuts. I can't stand it. Yeah. Anyway, so when my daughter got it, and I was like halfway through this fast, and I knew some principles behind fasting, so I thought I'd probably be okay. But this was like the real test, and of course I got what she had. In fact, I got it after she had it for 2 or 3 days, and then I got the cold. Now, that first day getting the cold stunk for sure, but it wasn't like I mean I still worked a full day. I stayed home that day just because I had a pretty nasty cold. But then before 48 hours, my cold was gone. So you think, okay, you got no immune system left. Well, you've got your normal antibodies in your system, but I don't have any gut bacteria to help fight off the things. But I'm taking a lot of water, so I get a lot of hydration. But the one of the most important things about fasting is not the necessarily weight loss, even though that's very important, and all the other benefits that I talked about. But it's that all of your energy that normally goes to consuming food. I've heard that most of your energy that you expend goes to breaking down and processing food. So if that's true, and it seems to make sense, if that's true, then if you fast, you should have basically all of your energy to go tackle what's wrong. And that's exactly what I experienced. So in less than 48, in fact, by I don't know, 46 hours or something, I felt like I didn't have a cold anymore. I just clear. I was doing work like normal, and I think I had like some sniffles just in the morning, like the next day and the day after, maybe even the third day. But that was just the morning sniffle. So there was must have been some kind of trailing thing left. But the cold itself really was just gone in 48 hours. And that, for someone who literally every time has 3 to 4 week long colds, that was thrilling and a cool testament to the allowing your body to expend all of its energy on taking care of the problems. So that's why it's good for a lot of other health issues, the stuff you can't beat normally, or if you don't want to do it with drugs. There's so many things that fasting takes care of as a result of the energy and focus that the body can give to specific needs. Anyway, I'm talking forever, and there's just always stuff to talk about from this. I honestly miss fasting. I think just because the focus that I got from it. Obviously, I like the weight loss part of it. So, like I said, I'll still do some more fasting in the future. And just because it's so good for your brain, your heart, your arteries, your body overall, it's just a good thing that I'll keep up for the rest of my life. Anyway, that's my story. So again, I'm not a professional. This is just me. This is me just learning from stuff that I saw from like Dr. Fung on YouTube, and Dr. Goldhammer, who runs a fasting center in California. He also has some stuff on YouTube. So again, there's good information out there. There's also bad information. There are some dangers, so something you talk to your physician about, and hopefully, well, you really need to find somebody who knows about fasting, because I found that almost nobody knows about fasting, and so they discourage it and all those kinds of things. So just try to find a doctor who at least is somewhat familiar with it, and to get the advice you need and to see if it's safe for you. But anyway, that's my experience, and that's kind of how I felt going along the way. In fact, if I was to do this video just yesterday, right before I broke my fast, you would see that I'm no different. Physically, my personality, my energy, it's just that's not a change. So it's super exciting. Fasting is just a neat thing all around. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye.